So we will first have a resolution to exclude the public from this meeting, and that we will have a mover and a seconder, that in accordance with Ministerial Order M192, the Town of Osoyoos Committee of the Whole meeting is closed to the public due to the inability to meet physical distancing recommendations made under the Public Health Act in council chambers located at 8707 Main Street. And that to ensure openness, transparency, accessibility, and accountability, the Town of Osoyoos Committee of the Whole meetings will continue to be recorded, live streamed, and published on the town's website. So is there a motion? Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Bennett. All in favor? Thank you very much. Introduction of late items. There's no other late items. Thank you. So we need a motion, please, that the Committee of the Whole meeting agenda be approved. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And we have a delegation this morning from the Osoyoos Airport Development Society, and we welcome Glenn Harris and Rob Roush. Come up to the microphone, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Good morning, councillors. My name is Glenn Harris. I'm representing the Osoyoos Airport Development Society. I wanted to give you a brief update on where we are with the projects that were approved through the BC Air Access Grant program. That was an approval for 2 projects. I don't know, Brianna, if you can put those up. Oh, okay. I think you've all got them then on your screens. And I think you know we got this grant approval for $120,000 back in June of 2018. The requirement was to do these projects by March 31st of 2020. Given COVID and other challenges with timing, we got an extension to the end of this year, and additional extensions can be provided. I just have to make a formal request. But I want to let you know that back in 2018, when these 2 projects were approved, just to summarize, it is a 300-foot extension of the runway to the south of the existing runway, and it is an apron expansion for airplane turnaround that is an expansion of the existing apron that's there now. We had to get an environmental study done, which we engaged through Acora. And that was prepared, received, submitted to the town. So that gave us a green light to move to the next step on these projects, which was to have the engineering drawings done, which is in your package that you received either Friday or over the weekend. That is for the 2 key projects, the runway extension and the apron expansion. Those drawings were done by True Engineering, and we took those drawings and sent them to 2 local contractors, being Osoyoos Aggregates, to do the civil work and the road work and the runway prep, and Peter Brothers, which is the biggest local paving company, and I think you have their quotations in your package as well. And we also, the third component would be a letter and a proposal from True Engineering to do the soils testing that's required, as well as the monitoring of the project. And if you added up all of those quotations, it would be $131,050, which is roughly $11,000 over budget. And the way the program works with the BC government, the BC Air Access program, they provide 75% of the approved budget, which is 90 grand, and the proponents come up with the other 25% plus any cost overruns plus the GST. And so that would be 30,000 plus the 11 grand over budget plus the GST. So roughly about $47,000 when you add all that together. And typically, I'd be coming to council to say, we're ready to go, and we'd like the town to support 50% of that equity requirement, and ODES would come up with the balance through either our own means or from other stakeholders. And I think you know from the first BC Air Access grant we had contributions from the Osoyoos Indian Band, from the RDOS, from ourselves, and from Destination Osoyoos, as well as from the town. We would go about kind of a similar process, but we've got a couple of other private companies that have also expressed an interest to support our initiatives, and that would be Area 27, Mount Baldy, and Cascadia Air. So there are folks out there that are prepared to write checks to help us move this project forward. But we've just learned that there is a new government program that is targeted for infrastructure projects in communities to help them recover from the COVID crisis. And I believe it's federal money that's been doled out to the provinces, and there is a new program with the acronym SIRP that is available to us. And Gina introduced it to Rob and I, and we feel that our project here would be a great candidate for that program. So I'm here today with Rob to seek permission from the town to make an application through the SIRP program for these additional equity funds that are required. That would be kind of phase one of our ask. And again, it's targeted to projects that are shovel-ready, and we have a shovel-ready project with engineering drawings. We've got the quotations from qualified local contractors. We're ready to go. The other one that is also ready to go is the balance of the fencing project, and that was involved in the first BC Air Access Grant, where we completed the fencing on the west side of the airport lands and on the north side of the airport lands. But we still got more work to do on the east side as well as the south end. And so with council's support as well as working with Gina and Development Services, we'd like to suggest that we include that project in the application as well. And I'm not so sure whether the best strategy is to bundle and make them all one application or do two, one for the two key airport projects and one for the fencing project. With mayor and council support, we'll work with staff to figure out what's the best approach. So again, I'm here for three things. One is to get general support to make a SIRP application. Two is to consider putting the fencing project in as either an additional or a combined SIRP application. And then three, since we have the audience here, I thought I always like Plan A and Plan B strategies. Plan A would be the SIRP program provides the funding, but Plan B would be we go back to the old model where the town would contribute up to 50% and ODES would go to the other stakeholders to come up with the other 50%, which is my ask number 3 on the agenda, which would be the town support. As a Plan B, if we can't get the SIRP funding, the $20,500, which represents 50% of the equity capital required, excluding GST. Question?
Yeah, thanks for the update, Len. I guess the question is, I guess through Ms. McKay, looking at putting the bundling the two grants together to me makes sense, but I don't know if there a max on how much you can ask for. So to me, I got no problem supporting the letter, and I would recommend you ask for both at this time.
Okay.
I don't know if you can word it in A-B, but I would ask for the whole amount.
Agreed.
Yeah, they let you list a number of projects, and they hope that maybe your projects would be scalable as well, because if it's oversubscribed, they'll have to pick and choose or provide less support. Depends what stream you apply in, but projects up to $1 million are encouraged, and so
Okay.
this is small material.
Yeah, this is still going to be kind of in the 150, or not even 125 kind of range. So yes, okay, I would agree. One application will be easier to submit than two. Just as a footnote to that, when it was the BC Air Access Program, we actually made 3 applications, and we got one approved first, and then they had surplus money, and they came back and knocked on our door and said, hey, would you like to, we've got some extra money, would you like us to fund your other project? And that worked well for us. But in this case, given the scale of the projects they're looking for and the amount of money, I say let's just combine it.
Got one more question. Some of your other stakeholders, is it valuable to have support letters from them also, like OIB?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It won't be hard to request and receive those. So OIB, RDUS, certainly could get a letter from Mount Baldy and Cascadia and Area 27, but I'll work with staff and Gina in particular to see what we need to make our application as strong as possible.
So there is, we have brought this forward to a meeting this afternoon because we understand that the application needs to be done fairly quickly, like in the next week.
October 29th is the deadline,
Okay.
correct.
So if that was the case this afternoon, then you would work with Gina to come up with the correct letter and bring it back to us, or is that how it would work, or would you sign
Thank you,
it?
Mayor Sue. What I've done this for my report in open council this afternoon is just ask for a resolution of council to support the application by ODES.
Yes,
To serve, and I didn't specifically put in that resolution anything pertaining to the amount or what the funds would be
Right.
for, but we know that it would be for the items that Glenn just mentioned.
no, yes, I see that, that's okay.
So I kept
Does-
it loose.
Does anybody else have any questions that they would like to ask these gentlemen? So the 20,000 ask for the town would not come until after you had found out whether you got this grant or not. Is that what way I understand it?
That's fine with
Yeah.
me. I mean, if you're able to review in your formal council meeting, a Plan B approval, that would be fine. But if you want to defer it until how things go with SERP, that's fine with me too.
When might you expect to hear back from SERP?
That's
Do
a
you
good
know?
question. Gina, do you have
That's a
any?
very good question. We don't know. I mean, with the quick closing date like that, that usually indicates a fairly quick turnaround. I know that the current provincial government is anxious to start, implementing some of these programs to help communities regain from the effects of the COVID situation. So I would anticipate a fairly quick turnaround.
Okay,
It's gonna be some
Yep.
delay because of
The election.
Yeah.
the election.
A little
and the
bit.
final results, the appointment of the cabinet,
right.
et cetera, but I would expect before end of the year.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so if we were going to deal with the ask, Mr. Chabot, it would have to go, be put into our budget meetings, am I correct?
We
Or-
could certainly include that if you like, your worship, the
I
$20,000 ask.
I wasn't sure whether we should,
could do it
in-
as part of, budget discussions.
and,
Yeah.
I think that timing would still work.
Sure.
and our budget
Yep.
meetings are within the next probably 2
Before the
months,
end of
right?
the year.
Yes, before the end of the year. Okay. Did anyone else have, go ahead, Counselor Rhodes.
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest that it might be prudent for us to wait until we see the grant result, because it might change one way or the other, and then we can be specific about what the exact task is. That would be my preference.
One thing that I'm uncertain of is the conditions of the air access grant. Typically, if there's a local contribution, they don't allow you to make that up layering on other grant funds. So it may be that the community's gonna have to go good for the local contribution on the air access. The fencing should be relatively straightforward.
Yeah. I had that thought as well, and I just don't know the answer to kind of the double dipping question. COVID has thrown the world in a different,
And a few other things.
in a few other things, so we'll have to research that, but that is a good point. So we want to be careful that we don't, contradict the rules of the BC Air Access Grant. So
Yeah.
in that regard, to your
I would
point,
take a look at whatever.
it may be more appropriate to use, the SERP monies for the fencing and the local funds for the BC Air Access Grant. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there anyone else that has any concerns about this, questions? No, we're good. Well, that
Thank you
was
for your time.
easy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we will certainly get back to you after the meeting this afternoon.
Thank you.
'Cause that's when we deal with those. Okay, so we do not have any other things on the agenda. So I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting, please. Councillor King, Councillor Harvey, all in favor?